So I'll invite Michael up, and you may go back to your seats so we don't keep you here longer than necessary. So obviously this session, as well as the others, somehow moves from, we're not leaving yet, from needs and problems, which is very easy to identify, the problems, the issues and so on, but solutions and action is more difficult, and that's where we need to end up more appropriately, I think. You can go wherever you wish. Mikael, I want to invite you to say a few words.
Thank you, everyone that participated in full activity or listening and hopefully changing the way you look upon the future. I thought it was remarkable 4 sessions here, and the intention was to connect new dots, create new connections. And in the same way that we felt in New York that Bengt Samuelsson took always time to come over and inspire the Prix Galien, we felt to his honor we wanted to bring it here. And I should say that Carl-Johan has been the person that's been the super enzyme of catalyzing vague ideas protein. At the best, vague ideas from Bruno and myself coming from our heart of admiration to something that became very substantial. And I think hopefully as it affected my thinking on many parts of the world we're living in, hopefully can lead to that we go one step further into the future. We will later start to celebrate people for various awards, and it's another way beyond the discussions to take impression of people that may be the next change agents of the world, and investing in them by giving them the full attention. And I just reflected, we started actually the morning in the science of sociology, how we work together to create connections in the world. And we wanted a little bit to raise the questions, how we worked in the past may not be the way it's required to work in the future. And I've learned from one of my mentors, he told me when I got the new job, I always called him and asked him, he's a well-known book writer, and he would say, remember this, what got you here will not get you there. And that's a tough lesson because it moves you out of your comfort zone. If you do too much of the same, you're on a regression in life, and your plateau is not even going to be sufficient. You may be a part of yesterday, not of the future. In the next session, we had a dialogue about how AI is affecting the world, and I love the constructive tension and eagerness of ensuring that we protect knowledge when it's digitalized and regulate what could be harm, from the eagerness to say we need to look at the balance between benefit and risk. You know, one thought when I listened to that brilliant panel is that the change of AI is probably going to be bigger than the industrialization of this world. And why do I say that? Well, it's the first time we have a species that's not encoded by ribonucleic acids, where the DNA, RNA. It has a different coding that seems in many ways to be able to handle enormous amount of data. But I think Kari and others that are extracting enormous amount of information of the human brain, what we not yet have figured out is the energy capacity to run AI machines are far less efficient than the human brain that can compute enormous difficult equations with very limited energy. So it just tells me that someday there will be people sitting here to solve how we can reduce the energy requirement for AI millionfold. And I could just imagine when that happens, how enormously the world will change. We then had a capital system, and Torbjörn had a team here that reflected on that Europe needs to in some way modernize and have a much more elastic capital system, because we see sadly some of the best science not being fully materialized for the entire world, but they're moving out when they're scaled up. And I'm hoping there will be ways as we reinvent ourselves to bring a system that's more resilient. The only worry I have is I learned in psychology of negotiations. Life is a negotiation with yourself, right? If I go here, I can't be there. And when you negotiate, if you have a wonderful starting point, and I think most people believe that the life quality in the Nordic Plus depends how large we make the plus, but if we make it reasonably contained, it's among the best in the world. And you can see when people vote for where is the best place to live, where is the most respectful place to live, the countries that we saw represented today is usually the place where most people would like to be. Now I've learned if you have a lot to lose, you tend to be preserved and conservative. If you have nothing to lose, you tend to be much more risk-taking. And that's something to consider how we can live in a system, being aware how much we have to lose, but taking some more risks, because otherwise our system won't look as great. And of course, looking at where we started, the three-continental system that's now evolving, which rarely has happened, and it's so synchronous, everything happens so fast between Europe and you go west to United States. Most of the individuals in the United States have very little to gain by keeping status quo, because life for most individuals is not that great. Probably far less greater than life here for the average person. So people are more willing, because they sense that environment of instability, destabilization, to take risks. And there is, of course, a lot of capital that is much more risk-willing, because for that capital is not old capital, it's new capital. And I was just looking at all the new companies in the United States that are these $10 trillion companies. Each of them are far bigger than the gross domestic product of Sweden. So it's been a history where we have here a country that has been on an excellence journey over so many hundreds and maybe thousands of years. And of course, that makes it very hard to change. And then you have organizations that grows beyond that size in 10 years, and they don't feel that need to conserve. So we need to figure out, and of course you go to China, people have developed dramatically from a past of pretty inhabitable life conditions in the rural areas. So they are still on a journey of change governed centrally is trust for them. So I learned a lot by listening here how fascinating the world is. And of course, it was a beautiful group that you put together from the genome and onwards. And there is so much data we need to gather and understand. And treating diseases is far less attractive than managing health and preventing progression of health. Now, the only thing that made me pessimistic after listening to these brilliant colleagues was that when we study prevention, we look at individuals that were developing over 50 years. And we look how much the world is changing, so we may develop treatments for a new generation that are living in a world that's not relevant and have a different exposome that you said. Well, this is the beauty. We are forced to go into uncertainty, and with uncertainty, hopefully we are inspired to think differently and learn from each other. But clearly this environment that you have here is something that I think is extraordinary, something that I miss in America, and culture cannot be replaced by $1 billion, I can assure you. The different currencies. I think we will have now the display of the type of nominations that have been found from this Nordic Plus. And of course, I'm sure that there may be some overrepresentation because of we're hosted here in this wonderful
In the
place.
category for Best Bridge Builder Institution, the nominees are Center for Research Equity at the University of Oxford. Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, CEPI. European and Developing Countries Clinical Trials Partnership, EDCTP. Nurexone Biologic Limited.
In the category for Best Medical Technology and AI Innovation, the nominees are Clinigma for Clinigma Portal, Evaxion for AI Immunology Platform, Grifols for Grifols SCD38, Roche Diagnostics for Cobas I601, Smart Cellar AB for Extroducer,
In the category for Best Biotechnology and Pharmaceutical Product, the nominees are Grey Wolf Therapeutics for GRWD 5769, Idorsia Pharmaceuticals Nordics AB for QVIVIQ, Sun Pharma for Unloxite,
In the category for Best Rare Orphan Diseases Product, the nominees are F. Hoffmann La Roche for Evrysdi, Immunocore for Kimtrac, Crystal Biotech for Vigivec, Novo Nordisk for Alhemo, Servier Pharmaceuticals for Voranigo,
In the category for Best Public Sector Innovation, the nominees are Bavarian Nordic for Jynneos, MVABN, Mpox and Smallpox Vaccine, HISP Center at the University of Oslo for DHIS2, Ligature on behalf of the Pediatric Praziquantel Consortium for Praziquantel, PATH for Menafrivac,
Right, so we're late to hear about the winner from them. I again wanted to thank Carl-Johan for remarkable work. We have
So, first of all, thanks to Nobel Forum and the Nobel Assembly. Thomas, are you here somewhere? Maybe Thomas is elsewhere, but we want to thank, of course, the Nobel Assembly organization at Karolinska Institutet. And also thank the Galien team for working so hard for this. And this is the first time we run it. And it's been impressive, not least Claire, I would say. So Claire can have it. But also, of course, thanks to Bruno, who runs the place in a sense as well, and Michael, who chairs the organization. Thank you. And also, this evening we will have this celebration, amongst other things, of the Bengt Samuelsson's legacy, the True North Award, which will be presented by Karin Samuelsson. So the Samuelsson family will be there and represented, which is an honor. So we look forward to seeing many of you at Medicinska Föreningen, which is like 250 meters in that direction. You may stay here until 6 if you have nowhere to go specifically right now, and then we can enter that building at 6. And the rest of you can do what you want in between. So see you there, and thank you for today.
With that,